Hello children, welcome to another math class. Can you identify this picture? Yes, you are right. This is a famous architecture of Rome called the Roman Colosseum. The Roman people used a separate system of numbers called the Roman numerals. Their number system was based on 7 characters I, V, X, L, C, D and M. The number system which we use today, that is 1, 2, 3, etc., are called Hindu-Arabic numerals. Our agenda for today is to identify the Roman numerals and to learn the rules in writing the Roman numerals. Before getting into the lesson, let's see a few applications of these Roman numerals. They are used in wall clocks, wristwatches, and in books to denote the chapter numbers. They are also used to name the kings and queens, also popes who have the same names as their predecessors. They are also used to name the acts and scenes of a particular chapter and to name the buildings as first, second, third, etc. and also to denote the age of a building. Let's see the history of Roman numerals. Historians believe Roman numerals began as a tally system. Shepherds on the hills and in the fields around Rome would cut marks into sticks to keep track of how many sheep or goats were there in their care. I'll tell you how. Each animal was counted, then recorded on a wooden stick with a single notch cut with a knife. That is, the first sheep is counted and marked as 1, then 2, 3, 4. Every fifth sheep was recorded on the stick with 2 notches which formed a V. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and each 10th sheep was recorded with 2 cuts to form an X. This method of record keeping was used by the Italian shepherds during the 19th century. In the Roman number system, each symbol has a certain value, but there's no way to show the place value and there was no 0. These facts mean it was impossible to do addition the way we do it today. So how did they do all the mathematics needed to construct their great buildings, keep track of their armies, collect taxes, and make the complex calculations involved in creating the calendar? The answer was, they used Roman abacus. All calculations were done on this device and then Roman numerals were used to only record the total. As I said earlier, 7 letters form the basis of Roman numerals. Let's see them one by one. Each letter stands for a number. The letter I stands for 1. V stands for 5. X stands for 10. L equals 50. C equals 100. D equals 500 and M equals 1000. Children, take a notebook and make a note of all these letters and their values, which will help you in writing the Roman numerals later. You can pause the video Make a note of it and then play the video again. To write Roman numerals, we have to follow certain rules. Let's see the rules one by one. Rule number 1, rule of repetition. Rule number 2, rule of addition. And rule number 3, rule of subtraction. Let's see each rule in detail. Rule 1, rule of repetition. The letters V, L, and D. I think all of you have made a note of the letters and their values, right? Look at the notebook and tell me the value of each letter. What does V stand for? V stands for 5, L stands for 50, and D stands for 500. Now these three letters V, L, and D are never repeated. The rest of the letters can be repeated, but still there is a restriction for that too. That is, when writing Roman numerals, never use more than 3 of the same symbol. So among the rest of the letters, you can repeat any letter only to the maximum of 3 times. Let's see few examples. Number 3 is written in Roman numerals as I. What about number 4? Can we write it as I? No, because the rule says you cannot repeat any letter more than 3 times. So this form of writing letter 4 is wrong. Then how do we write it? It is written as IV. I'll explain how this is written in the later session. Rule number 2, rule of addition. If one or more letters are placed after another letter of greater value, add that amount. Let me explain you with an example. See, V and I. That is, V has a value 5 and I has a value of 1. According to this rule, when a smaller value is written after a greater value, it has to be added. So 5 plus 1 will give you 6. So the value of VI is 6. Next example. What is the value of X? 10. Very good. Value of V is again 5. I is 1. If you see here, X has the greater value. V has smaller value than X and I is even smaller than V. So when the lower values are written after the greater value, it has to be added. So 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 will give you 17. So the value of XVI is 17. One more example. 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 23. Rule 3, rule of subtraction. When smaller numerals are on the left of larger ones, subtract them. In the rule of addition, we saw when smaller values come after the bigger value, it has to be added. But in this case, if the smaller value comes before the bigger value, then you have to subtract. Let's see an example. 10. X is 10, right? And the smaller value 1 is written before that, which means you have to subtract X and 1. So 10 minus 1 is equal to 9. So the value of Ix is 9. Another example, L. Can you tell me what's the value of L? Look into your notebook, all of you. Yes, it is 50. X is 10. So the smaller value comes before the bigger value. Hence, they have to be subtracted. So 50 minus 10 is 40. So the value of XL is 40. You cannot subtract more than one number from another number. That is 18 is written as 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 and not as 20 minus 1 minus 1. You cannot subtract 1 2 times from 10. The Roman numerals V, L and D cannot be subtracted and they are never repeated. In the rule of repetition, we have learnt that V, L and D can never be repeated. Now we have learnt that they cannot be subtracted too. Hence, while writing Roman numerals, keep these points in your mind. That is, the Roman numerals V, L and D cannot be subtracted and they are never repeated. Alright children, tomorrow we will be writing the Roman numerals from 1 to 20. Till then, keep reading the rules one by one. Thank you.